Welcome back. The battle for the Senate taking shape, and a major Democrat primary victory in Michigan this week is sparking a fight over the future direction of the Democrat Party. Abdul El-Sayed's win over Haley Stevens for Senate candidacy, celebrated by progressives as a sign that the party base is moving in a new direction. Here's Sayed after the victory yesterday. Watch.
We took on a machine. You're not supposed to be able to beat $70 million of outside spending, a record amount of money spent in a campaign against a Democrat in a primary in any campaign. You're not supposed to be able to beat that. And what we showed is that the power of our many is greater than the power of their money.
Senator Bernie Sanders called the victory, quote, unprecedented, while progressive commentators like Hassan Piker argue Michigan could be the start of a larger movement. Watch this.
Do you see a progressive lane materializing that goes through Michigan for 2028 after tonight?
Absolutely. But it's not just Michigan. This is just the beginning. These are never supposed to be swing states, and they will never be swing states ever again if I have something to do with it. We will hopefully continue this movement all across the United States of America. We'll go to every single state.
Another key battleground race is in Wisconsin. DSA-backed gubernatorial candidate Francesca Hong is gaining traction there. The results could offer a look at how far this political shift will extend. Joining me now is the CEO of the Stagwell Group, Mark Penn, with us. Mark, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I know that Stagwell just reported a record second quarter, and we want to get to that in a moment. 11% revenue growth, 10% organic revenue growth. Congrats. You've spent years studying voters and political trends. I'm going to get to the growth story of Stagwell in a second. But first, give us the nuts and bolts here. How does this Michigan race play out, and what does that tell you about where the Democrat Party is headed right now? What can you tell us?
Well, this is a full-blown crisis, really a 911 call on the Democratic Party. I think they decided to have a big tent, and that tent is being devoured by the Democratic Socialists. Look, this was a split right down the middle. El-Sayed didn't get to 50%. There was a third candidate who had already withdrawn, maybe had the votes that would have given Stevens a win. But it's a genuinely divided party at this point, as the DSA has driven extraordinary support among particularly those in college-educated voters who are actually, relatively doing pretty well compared to the working class and minority voters that voted for Haley Stevens. So this attraction to socialism, without really understanding what it means, because I ask in my polls, well, you're for socialism. Do you think everybody should make the same, or do you think you should earn according to what your work you're doing? They all say work according to what I'm doing. They don't actually believe in social. I say, well, do you think the state should own your house? And they'll say, of course not. I should own my own house. Do you want to own your own business? Of course I want to own my own business. So they have no idea what they're voting for.
That is wild, Mark. Those are really good questions that you pose to everybody. Let me ask you, does this most recent race in Michigan and the others that we've seen, Mamdani in New York, does this change your expectations for the midterm elections with the Republicans traditionally losing the majority during a presidential year? Does any of this change that thinking for you?
I think absolutely. It really will depend upon how effective the Republicans are in terms of their midterm messaging, because a lot of the messaging has bounced off the Mandamis and the El-Sayeds. People haven't really effectively brought home how devastating they would or could be. They haven't written to small business people and say, do you want your business taken away? They haven't written to homeowners and said, do you think your home should be owned by the state? They haven't written to people who like their doctor and say, do you want the federal government directing your entire health care? They haven't really brought it home to people, and as a consequence. But absolutely, definitely. Look, with the Democratic Party split, with so many moderate voters not voting for El-Sayed, with him not really reaching out, obviously Rogers has a much better chance of winning today than he would have had against Stevens.
And what about the House? You think that the House loses the majority, or are you still questioning that now?
Well, conventional wisdom still goes, but I think this is an obvious opportunity. I think also, Maria, it is interesting that the economy itself is just generally a lot stronger than perceptions of the economy.
That's right.
And I think that that perception gap on the economy is something that the Republicans have been unable to shake so far.
Yeah, all right, let's talk about your company, because your company, Stagwell, is growing faster than peers. You reported yesterday record second quarter with 11% revenue growth, 10% organic revenue growth, record new business as the political advertising cycle is ramping up. The stock is lower by almost 4% right now. Give us your sense of the quarter. You raised your full-year outlook as a result. What's driving business, and how are you taking market share from competitors? Nice move in the stock over the last, as you can see, a couple of months there, which is now trading at $8.85 a share.
Yeah, we're up almost 70% in the year. And I think while a lot of our competitors in WPP report shrinking 5%, our digital transformation, for example, is growing close to 20%. Our overall company is in growth mode. Our net new business is at a record. Our stock has been very much in general on a tear to new heights, because people recognize that compared to the rest of the industry, we have this incredible combination of creativity and technology that's been winning clients like IBM, Mondelez, Heineken, a record new $170 million of net new business.
That is awesome. That's terrific. So the political advertising is about to accelerate. What are you expecting in terms of growth rest of the year and into next year? And what about AI? It's transforming almost every industry we know, and the advertising world included. How much of the growth is AI versus traditional advertising at Stagwell?
Well, if you take a look at almost everything today is related to AI, and we have a partnership with Palantir to bring AI applications in marketing to the market. So we have very strong AI products. Our engineers here that really bring AI to business and to marketing. That actually is the fastest growing part of the business. So people look at us as an AI winner, and that's absolutely, I think, a critical part of our growth story. Plus, we do play in the political sphere, and this is going to be record double-digit growth in political, double-digit growth in terms of digital transformation, and that creativity is going strong. So I think in general, too, the market is not giving up on marketing companies anymore. They're seeing that there's tremendous value in these companies.
Mark, real quick, you run one of the country's most respected polling operations. If you had to give us one prediction that we don't really know about today, what would that be?
Look, I think things are a lot closer than most people in the polls are showing. I think it's a 50-50 country. I think this is going to be a heck of what we call the shoot from Labor Day to Election Day. I think it's going to be the biggest turnout in midterm history.
All right, we'll leave it there. Mark, great to catch up. Good to see you this morning. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Maria.
Mark Penn joining us.